Hi. So this is going to be the first actual official video podcast, whatever you want to call it, for the movie police. And this has been an idea I wanted to do for quite a while now because if you don't know this, I love cinema. I love watching movies. I love sci-fi. I love horror. I love thrillers. I love all of it. One of the greatest franchises of all time and one of the greatest movies ever made was Jurassic Park. So back in 2015, they decided to bring out Jurassic World. Everyone was kind of like, oh shit, we're coming back to this. This is going to be cool. We hadn't had a Jurassic Park movie in about 14 years, I believe, somewhere along there. Because the last one we had was Jurassic Park 3, and that one kind of killed the franchise off because of just how stupid it was, to say the least. Like, a lot of people had a problem with The Lost World. I personally loved The Lost World. It actually felt like an expansion pack to the Jurassic Park universe. And it was kind of cool to know, hey, there's actually a Site B. Now, if they would have waited till the third movie or later down the road to acknowledge that, hey, there's actually another island, that would have been problematic. But the sequel immediately gets you on there, and then when you get to the third movie, which apparently takes place on the same island, it's just everything's just completely different. There's apparently bigger dinosaurs for like no reason. The horrible misrepresentation of Spinosaurus was just kind of like, eh. But it is what it is, and it kind of just destroyed what was, you know, one of the greatest movies ever made of all time. And then it takes 14 years later, we have Jurassic World. So I, like everyone else, was really excited to see this because I was kind of curious what would they do. Now, I personally do not like when movies suffer from sequelitis. I kind of wish that they would just quit trying to milk a franchise. I really don't like that. I own the first two books. Well, there's only two books in the series, but I own them. And now take it like the original movie wasn't exactly the same as, Jurassic Park the book was, but for whatever it was, Steven Spielberg did a great job making it into a fantastic film, so it was still enjoyable. Most people who've seen Jurassic Park probably haven't even read the book, much less even know that there is a book. And a lot of people don't seem to understand the point of the series, which is just kind of hilarious to me. They kind of just, scream it to you in every movie. So, when Jurassic World comes out, I saw it in theaters, and I had not the best time, to say at the very least, because if you don't know this, I'm a bit of a movie critic, and I will criticize the ever living fuck out of movies. And a lot of things just kind of annoyed the hell out of me. So, like, I don't like the fact that they were like, oh, well, kids aren't interested in dinosaurs anymore. That's just fucking bullshit. That is like one of the biggest fuck yous I think I've seen in a movie franchise about the franchise itself. It makes no sense that kids would suddenly be like, "Oh, I don't like dinosaurs anymore." Like, no, 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 no. Look, I'm 31. I still like dinosaurs. I could go see a dinosaur and I'd still want to go. I mean, if this was the logical case, then people wouldn't be going to the fucking San Diego Zoo. I just went to that zoo last year, and my god, the parking was terrible. Because guess what? People want to go see animals. So the whole fact that they even said that in the movie, it was just kind of like, all right, I guess you just want to have an excuse to make a Frankenstein monster. Like, what else? And that's exactly what they did. They made the Indominosaurus, which is just basically a bunch of like, it's not even really a bunch. It's like five different things. It's like a snake, a cuttlefish, a T-Rex, a Velociraptor, and something else, I guess. Because like in the original Jurassic Park 4, they wanted to make, I guess some people don't know this, but they wanted to make like dinosaur human hybrids, and that idea was scrapped because how incredibly sci-fi channel it was, and Jurassic Park was supposed to be like a thriller, so but they kind of retained some of that, and then they made the Indominosaurus, which was just dumb because it had the ability to camouflage, and everyone who like took care of it didn't seem to realize like, hey, this thing can camouflage, which it makes no sense. And they had the guy named Henry who was in the first Jurassic Park movie. He's kind of like a recurring villain in this new trilogy, and for whatever reason, it makes no sense because he had like basically a cameo in the first movie. So it's kind of funny when people are like, "Oh my God, it's him!" Like nobody recognized this man. You didn't. Unless you read the books, you would even know who this man even was, and it's just kind of dumb that they made him into this Dr. Frankenstein character. But the whole fact that the damn thing could camouflage and no one checked the tracker on it before they went inside of the enclosure, it just I don't know why Hollywood takes it out to be like, hey, we're smart, you're dumb, the audience is stupid, they're gonna pay for anything. Because I mean, take it, look, they're right, but I don't want to pay for a movie ticket knowing that they think of me as this stupid. It makes no sense. And there was a whole scene where Chris Pratt was like with the Velociraptors, because apparently you can train raptors now. I guess that's apparently a thing. Um, Whatever. These super intelligent animals that kind of got nerfed for this franchise to just show that they could be domesticated, which is just kind of like, okay, I guess I didn't just see the other three movies, but cool. They let a new guy with no training or whatever feed the raptors, and he fell in, and Chris Pratt had to kind of show that he's Chris Pratt, and the raptors can't hurt him because he's the main character. And then Jurassic World still didn't make their fences any better than it was back in the original days, and I don't know. And the whole part where the kids like activated the Jeep that's been sitting there for like 25 years. It's gonna need more than just a new battery. It's gonna need like new tires and literally everything else. Like spark plugs have to be updated. I don't know. When I saw this in theaters, people were cheering when they saw the Jeep come to life, and I'm just kind of like, I really don't like how dumb people are when it comes to movies. And I understand you're supposed to turn your brain off and enjoy a lot of this stuff, but I don't think that this franchise should be one of those kinds of movies. If you want to turn your brain off and try to enjoy a very stupid movie, you see a Marvel movie or any other superhero movie. That's kind of what you should do because the shit never makes any sense. And take it night. I'm not saying that Jurassic Park was a perfect movie by any means because there was a lot of stuff that didn't make sense in that franchise either. But when it came to Jurassic World, I kind of figured like, hey, like we should probably handle this with a little bit more care and try to respect our audience a little bit. But it just came down to where they didn't really even do that. There was also the whole scene where the pterodactyl, they weren't really pterodactyls, they were like some kind of flying reptile. I don't know, like pterosaurs or something. But they were like flying around, and this little one attacked Chris Pratt, and he fell on his back and he's fighting it off. Now it's like the size of a house cat. And I'm like, dude, just snap its neck and move on. Like it might bite you a few times, sure, but like it's not gonna knock you off your feet. Like that's not a thrill. And then the Clara character, played by Bryce Dallas Howard, she spent the entire movie running around on a pair of high heels, where she also outran a T-Rex, which in the first movie they clocked it running at 30 miles an hour. So it's just kind of like, at this point, it just kind of hurt my feelings, I guess you could say, because I'm just kind of like, I can't believe that they think so fucking little of me. But the joke's on me because I paid the money for the ticket to go see the damn thing, and it makes no fucking sense. And then they had the murder of the woman because in the original trilogy there wasn't a single woman that got eaten, at least on screen. I mean, it was kind of implied that the T-Rex ate a lot of people in the second movie when it was roaming San Diego, I believe it was. But in the third movie, they had to brutally murder the assistant just to show you, like, hey, we're gonna be a little not sexist this time. We're gonna like make sure we distinguishedly go after everybody. And it was just kind of like, okay, all right, well that was it was hard to watch. Like needless to say, it was kind of hard to watch. And then they had the whole Chris Pratt riding on a motorcycle, like, oh okay. And then there's dinosaurs still running around, and you have the whole subplot with the fucking kids that nobody cares about because it's a Jurassic Park movie and you always got to include the children. And honestly, I'm tired of the children. I wish the movies would quit with the children. Like I'm so done. I don't care that there's kids. The first one was cool that we had kids because it was a moment for Dr. Grant to bond with them because he didn't like children. It was a whole character movement thing. That was the entire point of those kids being there. Other than the fact that one of them just suddenly became a computer hacker and then the other one decided not to help him out by grabbing the gun while they were trying to hold the Velociraptor off. See, I can criticize the first movie too, but it's just the fact that Hollywood just keeps doing the same thing because we gotta have kids in these movies, and you gotta pretend you care about them when you don't. And in this movie, they had these like kids where like one would just stare, and the other one was like, "Oh, there's a T-Rex eating. I'm gonna play on my phone and not pay attention." Like that's something that would never really fucking happen. and then I guess the kids were getting like their parents are getting a divorce or something. I don't know. See, I'm spending so much time just talking about the one movie, and I'm not even talking about the other two because I wanted this all to be just like all three. The second movie annoyed the fuck out of me because apparently the island that's been there since the first movie, never hinted at, never explained, was suddenly a volcano. And it was just a way to get them off the island because every movie takes place in the jungle, which is fine because it's dinosaurs, and I mean, I get it. Kind of like we're doing the same thing over and over and over, but like seeing dinosaurs on the mainlands doesn't really work in the fact that we would never allow that to be a thing. So I live in California. Anytime a bear comes wandering through a neighborhood, the bear gets taken out or gets like put to sleep and they like take it and drop it off somewhere in the woods. This would never happen. So in these Jurassic Park movies, what happens is the dinosaur runs loose and cops and military for whatever reason can't figure out how to take it down. Like the second movie, The Lost World, it was cool to see it run loose. It was like a little Godzilla moment. But the cops were just kind of like, "Oh no, we gotta go away. There's a T-Rex." Like, no, just shoot the damn thing. Just shoot it. Take it down, man. You're telling me that entire time nobody could take it down? Like, that's just not realistic at all. You had that one guy from the island. Don't remember his name, but he was the bald guy that was wanting to hunt the T-Rexes. He could take it down by himself, and you're telling me like a whole squadron of police are just too afraid to do so? Like usually in a cop car, there's usually about two officers. So I don't know. Between like the 5 or 6 cop cars that are in the movie, they could have just opened fire and took the thing down. Like I don't understand why they didn't, but it's really whatever. But the island was suddenly a volcano, and they used it as a whole prop, a whole front to get you off the damn island, which is just like okay. And then the rest of the movie takes place in a mansion. That's right. You went to go see a Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movie to see the dinosaurs locked in a mansion. And of course, you got to have the big evil billionaires running the corporation who are selling dinosaurs in the black market. Like they're all going to be used as weapons or some shit, as if there's like some kind of like sci-fi movie monster that can't die the traditional means. Like I don't know. Like they were auctioning off dinosaurs. Like, oh, this one could be used as a combat tank for like 1.5 million dollars. I'm just like, yeah, who's gonna use that though? And how are you gonna get the dinosaur to actually, do that? It makes no fucking sense, and I don't understand why people wanted to go see this movie. And also on top of that, the last movie too, the biggest fuck you I got was the fact that they decided to add a fight scene, which is okay because there's been fight scenes in other dinosaur movies, but this one was a like Godzilla fight, tag team Godzilla fight where you had Blue the Raptor because he's a main character, so he's not evil or she's not evil, whatever. Dinosaurs can change their genders in this movie. It's probably why we got the whole non-binary thing going on now. I don't know. But the dinosaurs decide to tag team and take down the villain of the movie, and then in the sequel, we get almost the same thing, but not really. Where I guess the scientists are like, well, we're gonna take this hybrid dinosaur that's already like a quarter velociraptor, and we're gonna mix it with 75% more or 50% more velociraptor to make it smaller. So at the end of the day, it's basically a velociraptor. That's the villain of the movie. It's a velociraptor with a little bit of, dinosaur hybrid shit with T-Rex, and mind you, it's also part cuttlefish, but it never camouflages like one time. And it has to have a whole fight scene because hey, it's this isn't the original kind of movie that it was at one point. We got to make this into some kind of way to sell tickets, I guess. So that's what they did, and it was just kind of like, all right, okay. There was like a little clone girl, and apparently there was a guy that was working with I can't remember the old man's name, but he was the guy that created Jurassic Park. In the books, he was an asshole, by the way. The movie kind of made him into like this lovable Santa grandpa character. But apparently there was another guy the entire time that you didn't know about until 5 movies in, because that's kind of how you do in these sequels. You gotta like, in order to keep relevance to past characters who are dead or no longer with you, they have to. Well, I was secretly his best friend the entire time that you never knew about. So they brought this guy in, and he kind of was just kind of like, oh well, this is my clone granddaughter, and I'm about to be murdered by this evil billionaire tycoon guy that's just on the nose way too fucking much. So when he dies, for whatever reason, I guess. And you spend the rest of the movie with them in the mansion with this like Indominosaurus, Velociraptor, whatever. And I'm just like the whole time I'm like, okay. And then all the dinosaurs are like trapped in the poison or whatever, and the little clone girl's like, I gotta make the conscious decision of letting them, letting them die since they're like genetic freaks of nature that don't need to exist because they're not supposed to exist. But I'm a clone like they are, so I have to feel sympathy for them, which you shouldn't. And then it's either that or I let them all out and they just kill and destroy everything, which is what they pretty much fucking do. So because of this little girl, and everyone's like, "Oh, she's so sweet, she's so," no, this little girl needs to be executed or she needs to go to prison. Like whatever, you're liable for anybody that dies after this point. Any kind of property damage, you're liable for it. It's on you. Like I don't like you as a character at this point because you just caused so much collateral fucking damage, loss of life, and the unnecessary sequel that I'm about to get to in a second. But she lets all the dinosaurs out. There's like maybe 20 dinosaurs that run out, and suddenly that kind of leads on to the third movie where dinosaurs are now like all over the goddamn place, and people are trying to coexist with them, which is bullshit because what would like realistically happen? They would be euthanized. That wouldn't even be up for debate because that's exactly what would happen. You don't see black bears running down neighborhoods and people are just chilled with it or whatever. If you see a moose, maybe in Canada, I don't really know about Canada, but like in America, that would never fucking happen. Or if you have an elephant, you ever see those old videos of like elephants like breaking out of the circus and they're like rampaging? What happens? Oh, that's right, the police take them out. They're killed. They're euthanized. You won't see them coexisting with neighborhoods and shit. Like this isn't Africa, this isn't India. Like this is America. We don't do things like that here. And it's just kind of dumb that the movie was just kind of like, yeah, well, you're gonna accept this because that's what it is now. It's just dumb, man. And then you had like this whole, spoiler alert if you haven't gotten to this point, or if you haven't seen the movie yet, which I don't really care at this point. I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about it. The villain of this movie are locusts. That's right, you went to go see a Jurassic Park movie to see locusts because they're threatening the world food supply, and this entire subplot did not need to even be in the movie because it just kind of takes focus away from the fact that you're watching a movie for dinosaurs, but there's a lot of the attention's put on the fucking grasshoppers. So it's like, okay, I take it they're like giant-sized locusts, but it's just like who? Nobody came to this movie to see that. I don't know why you thought that was a good idea, but whatever. It would have been more interesting to see dinosaurs kind of like running the streets of Italy, for instance, because somehow they did something like that. And suddenly there's all these new additional dinosaurs that weren't in the last movie because apparently I guess they're here now or whatever. And take it they probably were cloned. I don't remember. I kind of just did that thing where you turn your brain off so you can try to have a good time. The movie wasn't great. And it's kind of annoying that I see specific people like defending it, and I get it because I have a friend that likes to defend these movies, and he's like, "Oh, this movie was so good." And I'm just like, I understand you just spent $45 getting a bucket of popcorn, a medium drink, and a ticket to go see this, and you're gonna want to justify that purchase, and I 100% understand that, but dude, come on, like, come on, dude, it was not good. And then there's this whole fight scene at the end of the movie again where they had the whole superhero moment where the T-Rex was knocked unconscious by the Gigantosaurus, and he does that whole thing where he opens up his eye like an anime character gaining all of his power back, and gets up and bites the thing in the neck, which should have killed it in the first place. Because if you don't know, T-Rex has like the strongest bite force of any animal. Megalodon or Megalodon, whatever you want to call it, it's technically the Megalodon. It's argued that it would have a stronger bite force, but there's no fossil of it. It's just teeth, so there's really no way of honestly knowing that. I think it's just kind of like LARPing that you would want to think that it's got a bigger bite force. I don't know. But yeah, the T-Rex has the whole anime awakening moment and comes up and like bites the thing in the neck, which should have just crushed its windpipe right then and there, but it doesn't. And it gets like Jinzu or Ginzu stabbed by this other dinosaur whose name I can't remember. I know what it is, I just can't remember what its name is. But it fucking like Mortal Kombat stabs it, and then the dinosaurs just kind of roar at each other because they're cool now because they're like, hey, you helped me out. Which this is apparently the same T-Rex from the very first movie, and it suddenly became a MMA fighter over the course of living off screen between movies. I guess I don't I don't know. And like everyone's happy. The original cast from the first Jurassic Park movie make their appearance in this one. They don't really even meet Chris Pratt's crew until like towards the end of it. And Jeff Goldblum's in the movie as well, he's playing Ian Malcolm. And for whatever reason, this mathematician that does chaos theory is suddenly working for the evil guys. It's like, hey, we got to put this guy in the movie somehow, and I guess this is what his job is now. I guess hey, because he's got to fit in somewhere, right? He's got to be able to meet Ellie and Dr. Grant from the first movie. But I don't know. At the end of the day, I'm just kind of like rubbing my eye, and I'm just kind of wondering like why in God's green earth did I waste money and time to see this stupid thing? The franchise is terrible, and I don't like that people are dumb and just accept it because at the end of the day, Hollywood is laughing at you because you're dumb enough to pay for this, and they know it's a piece of shit. And the way you can tell this movie is a piece of shit is two things. One, Chris Pratt did not put any fucking effort into his shit. You kind of feel like the whole time like he knew the script was bad. He was just there to collect a paycheck, and he wanted to be done with it because you really get that feeling. The second is I said something about motorcycle, and then somebody actually asked me, "Oh, what were the dinosaurs on motorcycles?" They had dead ass asked me that like it was a serious question. So the fact that somebody asked me that, all I can think of is like that tells you the quality of this movie, where somebody really believed a dinosaur was driving a motorcycle from the Jurassic Park universe, mind you. They were on a motorcycle. I don't know if you see it the same way I do, but it's just kind of like I don't even know what to do from this point on. So I don't know. But this is just my whole thing on the Jurassic Park franchise, mainly Jurassic World. Jurassic Park 3 was, ass as well. But I could make a whole video about, that one on itself, but I'm not going to. But yeah, so this is the Movie Police Podcast, episode 1 officially. Thank you very much for watching and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.